In this video, we're going to dig into this old winch behind me and see if we can get it to work again. So sit back and we'll see what's going on. So what we have here is a winch from my friend's boathouse. You may remember from a couple summers ago I did a video about reviving an old boat. I'm going to put a link in the description here. Well, this is the winch in that boathouse that actually prevented us from getting the boat in the water. So I told him I'd take a look at it for him and see if we can get it working again. So let's see what we got here. So we've got a power winch. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Okay, she's a little bit old. So the problem is you go to winch it and it trips a breaker. So let's just take a look-see and see if there's anything obvious, right off the bat. I mean, I can see she's been worked on a time or two here, so we're wiring maybe a little suspect. More evidence of tampering here. Electrical tape, things like that. Take a look up here by the controller. A little bit more evidence of tampering. And you can see here this wire's been patched together. So we may have a short somewhere in here. So just to confirm that, nothing, that it doesn't work, I have it plugged in down here. So we're going to go ahead and try to flip her. Confirmed. I heard it trip the breaker. Let me go ahead and reset our breaker, and then I'll bring you back. 1 second. All right, we reset the breaker, and I was just tumbling it around a little bit here, and as I was tumbling it, a bunch of acorns and things fell out of it. So apparently some sort of furry creatures, some sort of furry creatures have made a home in there. So, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unscrew this cover and see if I can, pull it apart and see what's going on in there. So I'll set you up on the tripod and we'll take a look. All right, here we go. So it looks like I got 2 screws here, Phillips head. Go ahead and pop them out of there. The ones on the top are missing, so again, more evidence this thing's been tampered with before. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, though. Whoop. Oh boy. Oh, lovely. Oh yeah. Oh, we got all kinds of yummies in here. Ugh. Wow. Okay. Well, that's one side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other side. Pop that one off there too. Let's see. I think I can go ahead and remove this here too. This is for the brake system. Unscrew that just to get it out of the way. Don't lose any parts and pieces. Come on. Fine threads, of course. Okay. Again, we got 2 screws missing up here, so we'll go ahead and take care of these screws down here. Pop them out. Oh my gosh, more evidence falling out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and grab the shop back here and try to suck that thing dry, so just give me a moment and I'll bring you back. Alright, well, we've evicted all the Mises out of here, so that's a start. Now it's time to poke around and look to see if there's anything obvious here that's the problem. So I've already looked at my extension cord here, and it doesn't seem that it's shorting out anywhere. I checked continuity on both ends here, and they're not touching, so that seems to check out because you plug it in, it doesn't short out. It seems to happen once you flip the switch here. So I'm going to start here by taking apart some of the wiring from this switch and see if anything is gone wrong in there. I mean, I do suspect this cord because you can see it's cracked and taped together and everything else. So it might just be as simple as replacing this cord. That would be super duper. But I'm going to go ahead and pull off this wire here and this wire nut here and check this cord for continuity and see how that's all working here. So just give me 1 second. All right, so here's where we're at. I've detached my wire from my switch, and I'm checking continuity here. So I've got my multimeter set to continuity. Hopefully you can hear the beep. Okay, I've got the switch in the off position. Not getting anything. I switch to the on position. So these wires have continuity, and there's no short. So believe it or not, that shitty looking wire is actually in good shape. So now I'm going to go ahead and look into the rest of this here and see what else we can figure out. So stay tuned and I'll bring you back. Alright, so I've removed the switch from the circuit altogether. I've got everything hooked up here still to my bridge rectifier. So the bridge rectifier has 4 ports. It's got 2 ports for AC and 2 ports for the red and the black, so the plus and the minus on coming off the motor here. So what I'm going to attempt to, so this is where the switch would have been connected. It would have basically been connected between here and that terminal right there. So I've plugged my circuit back in here, and I'm going to touch this wire to that terminal right there and see what happens. It's probably going to spark and short out, which tells me that the problem's either with the motor itself or with that rectifier. So let's give it a try here. Yep, shorted out, tripped the breaker. Let me reset the breaker and I'll bring you back. 1 second. All right, so I've unplugged my circuit again from the extension cord. I've unhooked my red and my black wires from the bridge rectifier from my motor. The green one's still connected here to the power cord, to the ground, but it's not connected to anything, so that's not doing anything. So I'm going to just see what happens when I hit the motor with 12 volts DC here and see if the motor actually turns or not. Okay, so the motor's turning one direction there. I'm going to go ahead and switch our leads here. It's going to be hard to do on camera, but give it a shot. Yep. So I believe our motor is actually good. Okay, so that leads me to believe that the problem is with that bridge rectifier. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bridge rectifier pulled off there and see if we can test that. So stay tuned and I'll bring you back so we can test that. Okay, time to test this bridge rectifier. So first of all, a bridge rectifier converts AC to DC, okay? So we have AC coming in from our plug, and then it converts it to DC, putting it out to our electric motor, okay? So this rectifier has 4 terminals. So we've got a positive, so that's DC positive. We've got an AC, and over here we've got another AC, and we've got a DC negative. So I've drawn this out to show you how this works. So this is just basically 4 diodes inside of here, okay? And a diode is only supposed to allow voltage to flow in one direction. So we're going to test that, okay? So how this is supposed to work. You take your voltmeter, hopefully you can see that, your multimeter, and you set it on diode there. Okay, I've got my positive and my negative. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test. Voltage wants to flow from negative to positive. Okay, I'm sorry, from positive to negative. Okay, so I'm going to put my positive lead here and my negative lead here. Check this diode to check the direction of flow this way. Okay, so whoops. So what this is doing is it's supplying voltage through that diode and it's reading it out. Okay, so you can see it's allowing voltage in. So now if I flip it again, because a diode only wants voltage to flow in one direction, we should get an overload like you're seeing here, okay? So that diode is good. So we'll go ahead and check this one here. Negative here, positive here. We got an overload. Now if I switch it, we've got a reading. So it's allowing voltage to flow from this one to this one, okay? And we saw we can flow voltage from this one to this one, okay? Now we're gonna go over here and check the other side. So I'm gonna put my positive here on the positive side, positive post here for DC, and check here. Okay, I've got flow. Now if I switch it, this should say overload. But as you can see, it does not. So that diode is bad. Let's check over here. Okay, we've got flow. Now if we switch it, we still have flow. So this diode is bad over here. So this rectifier is bad and needs to be replaced. So that is why this is shorting out, or shorting out and tripping the breaker when I apply power to it. It's only supposed to be allowing power to flow in one direction on this side here, but it's actually allowing it to flow in two, so we're causing a direct short, so it's popping the breaker. So here's our problem right here, okay? So we have no idea how old this guy is, but I'm going to go ahead and get on the old Google machine and try to look up that diode, or that rectifier number here, and see if I can't get a new one sent in. So I'm going to go ahead and search on the Google for this guy, and yeah, that should be our problem. So I'm going to get a new one of these, and I'm going to get a new cord going up to our switch, and then get all that wired together, and I will bring you back once we get our new parts in. So stay tuned. Alright, so in the meantime here, I want to test out this motor and get some of this cord reeled up because the cable out on the winch, the cable on the winch had been out, and I've got like 30 feet laying across my shop here, and I'm getting sick of tripping over it. So I want to try to test out this motor and reel in some of that cord. So I've got myself a jerry rig here. I hooked up 2 Milwaukee batteries, 18 volts, in series to give me 36 volts. And I've got some spade connectors and whatnot rigged up here to attach it to that motor there. Now it's a 120 volt motor, so 36 volts is going to be a bit light for it, so it's going to spin a little on the slow side. But I want to suck in some cable, and I want to see if it'll actually drag my snowmobile there across the floor. So I'm going to get you set up on the tripod, and we're going to plug this in, and we're going to give this a try. This may not work, may be stupid, but we'll see what happens. So give me a second and stay tuned. All right, let's see if this is going to work here. Get ourselves a connection, and away we go. Uh-oh. Oh, lost connection here. 1 second. We'll get her back going. I lost one of my spades. Yeah. Ooh, my clutch is slipping here. Try that again. Well, it is actually working. It actually started dragging the front of my four-wheeler over to a point, and then that stopped. And you can see it actually started dragging my sled. So this motor actually seems like it has plenty of juice in it. So hopefully all our problem was that bridge rectifier. So that should be in tomorrow. And I'll bring you back once I get that all installed, or as we're installing it. So stay tuned. All right, folks, it's the next day and we're back. My bridge rectifier should be delivered within the hour. I'm seeing it's out for delivery, so that's good. So in the meantime, I went to the old Fleet Farm and I got some other supplies here. So I got myself 8 foot of wire here to replace the wire for the control pendant there. I got a couple of grommets and things like that, and some female connectors to rewire some of this stuff here to make it, as new as possible. So what I'm working on right now here is replacing this cord. So I've already got it partway done here, but up by the switch, previous owner had it wire nutted together. So I'm actually going to go ahead and replace that wire and use some of these quick solder connections here. So basically, you have to strip the wire on both ends, like you see here. Take one of these guys, push the wire in the middle there, so that the strands overlap and interlock, and then you melt this with a heat gun. So I've got this kit here where there's a whole bunch of these. You know, I took a chance on this a few years ago. I saw these, I believe, on Facebook, and got the whole kit for about 20 bucks. And I use these all the time. They're great. So I'm going to set you up on the tripod here and show you how to use it. So you want to try to match your wire diameter here to the diameter of your connector here. So the red one is a little bit small, so I'm going with the blue, and the blue one's a little bit loose, but this does shrink wrap down. So as I'll show you here, it makes a really good connection here. So let me set you up on the tripod, and I'll show you how to do one of those. 1 second. All right, so I've got this set up here. So like I mentioned, you want to have the strands overlap and interlock. So I push these together so they're overlapping in the middle and interlocking. And I've got it centered in the middle of that chunk of low temp solder in the middle there. So now we're going to take our heat gun and we're going to melt this guy. So have a look-see. There we go. Now our solder is melted together. So I'll get you get you set up so you can see the next step. 1 second here. All right, now that we've got this together and cooled off, we're gonna go ahead and just double check to make sure the switch is working properly. So we're gonna use our multimeter for that. We're gonna set it on continuity. Check to make sure our continuity is working. Yep. Okay. So now I have the switch in the off position. So when I touch the ends of these wires here, I should not get a beep. Okay, no beep. Now when I flip the switch to the on position, I should get a beep. There we go. All right, so everything's wired properly. The switch is working. Now I'm going to go ahead and reassemble my pennant there. So you don't need to see me do that. So I'll bring you back to show you the next step. So stay tuned. All right, folks, we're making progress here. So I mentioned I got a couple of grommets. So I didn't like how, well, as I mentioned, this thing had been kind of, you know, taken apart multiple times by the previous owner, clearly. So the wire for the outlet, you know, the power wire, and the wire over here for the controller were just kind of like sticking through these big open holes here. So I didn't like how loose they were, so I got a couple of grommets that I'm fitting in there. They don't fit quite right, but I've got them super glued so that they will stay in place, and that's helping to hold these cords where we want them to be. All right, so now I've started putting things back together here. So I took our green wire from our motor here, and I connected it to the green wire or ground from our AC plug, AC, you know, input wire here. So that's grounded, that's done. I took so this is from our switch on our pennant. I took our black wire and I hooked it to our hot wire from our input from our AC. So I've got those together. So now the hot wire is coming in, running through the switch, and coming back out here to this white wire. This white wire will go into our new bridge rectifier on one of the AC sides. And then we've got our white wire here from our power wire coming in, or from our plug coming in, and this will go to the other AC outlet on the new rectifier. Then I have my red wire that'll go to the this is coming off the motor. This will go to the positive post on the rectifier, and then I've got my black wire also coming off the motor that'll go to the negative post on the rectifier. So we're basically sitting here waiting on that bridge rectifier to show up, which should be any minute now here. So as soon as that comes in, I'm going to get that mounted up and wired up, and we will be able to test this out to see if I was correct. So stay tuned and I'll bring you back. All right, guys, our new bridge rectifier has arrived. Amazon came through. Yay! All right, so before we actually put this in circuit, I'm going to show you guys again why the old one was bad and why the new one is good. Okay, so here's our old one down here. Here's our new one up here. Okay, so if you remember, I have it in the same configuration. So this is the positive. Here's the positive. Here's the positive. Okay, so on our old one, if you can see our meter there, look, we had voltage that way. And, here, I'll switch hands here so you guys can see. We had voltage that way. Okay, we had voltage this way. And voltage that way. Okay, so now on our new one, We got voltage this way, but you switch it. No voltage that way. See, overload. Same thing up here. No voltage this way. Now we switch them. We have voltage, okay? Now just for shits and giggles, let's test the other side. Pardon my language. No voltage. Get my hand out of the way. No voltage. Whoops. Turned it. No voltage. Now let's switch the lead. And voltage. Voltage, okay? So this rectifier is doing what it's supposed to do. Now we'll go ahead and get it in the circuit and we will see if this motor runs. So 1 second and I'll bring you right back. Okay, I've got our rectifier mounted. So now I'm gonna show you how to hook it back up here. Okay, very easy. All right, so if you remember on the old one, it showed you DC positive, AC, DC negative, AC. The new one only has half that information. So hopefully you can see it here, but it says we've got a positive for DC positive, and we've got an AC. The other side is not labeled, but that's okay. Because, now correct me if I'm wrong, but every one of these I've seen, it goes opposites, okay? So if this is your DC positive, the DC negative is going to be opposite, and then the ACs are going to be opposite, okay? So the same thing should be true for this rectifier here, okay? So that's how we're going to hook it up. Okay, so we're going to take our red wire from our motor and hook it to the positive on the rectifier. We're going to take our black wire from our motor, hook it on the opposite terminal, which will be the negative on the rectifier. And then the ACs don't matter, okay, because AC goes multiple, both directions, so it doesn't matter. Just make sure you have those hooked up to both of your leads on the rectifier and that they're opposites, okay? Now I've made it, we've made it easy here because we got white and white, so we just need to have our whites opposite. Okay, so now in theory, this should work. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in down here, see if we hear any pops or smoke or anything like that. Okay, we're plugged in. No pops, no smoke, nothing's getting hot. Okay, we're gonna take our switch. Let's see if it works. Hey, hey! Now the gears only budge because I don't have my clutch engaged in there, so it's just freewheeling right now, but the motor works. Let's try it again. Sweet. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll tighten up our clutch, see if we can get this cord up here to reel up a little bit. I didn't leave much out there, but should be able to get something out of it here. Okay, let me go ahead and tighten her up all the way here. Okay, clutch is tight. Try her again. All right. I think we're back in business. All right, let me get the rest of this housing put back together, and then we'll do a test on the floor. So stay with me, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, again, a little bit of a janky test, but it's all I've got to work. You got to work with what you got, and this is what I got right now. So I've got myself actually, hooked up to my extension cord, and I've got the back end of the winch tied off to my four-wheeler. And I'm going to try to drag my snowmobile towards us, and we'll see what happens here. So let me pop over here, and we will give this a test. Again, very janky, but here's what we're going to do. Whoop. Can help to tighten up my clutch. There you go, clutch tight. Okay, looks like that worked. Okay, well, it's having no problem dragging that snowmobile, and that's again, the skis are on the ground, the track's on the ground, so it's under pretty heavy resistance. It's not even whining a little bit. So that's how to fix this winch. Hope you all enjoyed, and tune back in for the next one. Till then, signing off.